Let's see now. So you don't want this poking your eye out, so what you've got to do is get that spindle clip and break it off. That's perfectly fine. Now you need to put it somewhere aside. Those places can include especially the needle cup. Put that in there. Now you need to lock off the turntables thing with the brake and pull this off. Let's see. Oh, this can be pretty difficult. There's a knack to it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. What you've got to do then is perhaps put this aside, perfectly far away from all the things you're going to be doing. So, perhaps just pop it on the floor, and we can get that done. Now, this here is an auto brake. This works by like this catch there pulls on this, and that there works as the record is playing. At the end of the record, it'll bump the center, and this thing here will stop it. This lip will lock on. Now, you just put this one aside, then we can move this manually, keep it somewhere. Now, to get this off of the board, to do that, there are a few things you need. Now, the winding handle needs to be wound out. There we go. Pop in there. Now, what we have to do there is get this properly in the screw with this screwdriver and twist it out like so. There we go. That's one. Put that in there. It's pretty loose in there. I've been meaning to get around to this particular machine for quite a time. Rather do it before the weather gets cold. Let's see. You can manually just take it out with your hand if you get it far enough. And this one. Now, let's see. Oh yeah, this is pretty loose. This thing was obviously had a bit of tampering before I inevitably got this for eBay about the end of 2018. Let's see. This is how they're usually put in. Now, let's see if I can get this out. I'm going to be showing you the best way to get this out two-handedly. Now what's to do is get one hand here at the bottom, and then we can pull this out like so. This, let's see, if we can, we also can push this screw like so, then we can pop it in there. Now, what's next to do? Place this here, so I shall give you a more informed look at what we're dealing with. Alright, so on the bottom of the board we have ourselves a very small this is a J-shaped horn from up in the tone arm all the way outside, and it makes its way in there. This is the motor we're dealing with. This is a Garrett number 20. Single spring little motor. Now, what I'll be showing you to do next is how to remove this tin horn and get better access to this motor. I One of the best advisable things to use is flathead screwdrivers such as these ones. Perhaps one of these sort of kits, or if you get a screwdriver kit, you can pick out the one that fits screws such as this correctly. So, best thing I can think of is this one right here is about the same size as these screws right here. So, let's see if we can get this out. Push it with your nail, gets it out. And I'll place all the other ones, in the meantime, in there. Also, what to do is, see this screwdriver? You also need, if you're using this, one of these here, so this has a clip in there that clips it in place. So now, what to do is, let's see, get that on there, and doing this one-handedly, or sort of, you have to get that pushed into here. There's a little ball joint that gets locked into there. So let's see, so we can place it there, and we can push it like that. Now, to get to the motor, this is what to get to the motor and moving this horn. This is what you've got to do. That's one screw done. Second one. Let's get this properly secured in there. Let's see now. Now that is out of there, I need to get these two done. I will also show you some basic cosmetics on what to do. Now let's see if we can get this moved off there. Now there are a few things. Firstly, this is the horn, like so. Now there are a few things. The problem with many of these portables is they rattle. Even though the sound box may be fine and everything else, but you see these little bits of rubber I've artificially made. Just stop it from rattling around and making this bzzz sound on records are pretty nice, and I originally thought something was wrong with the sound box. Later found out to my surprise it was due to lack of thing supports which dampens buzzing. Now the tone arm is in there. I will make a separate video on how to deal with them. So, in the meantime, let's deal with the motor. Now, you think simply disassembling this, letting it run down normally is alright. In most cases it is, but the best thing to do is manually push this a few times, which gets extra tension out of the spring. Now, this is what a front view, I think, of a garage motor is. So, let's see if we can prop this up a bit so I can show you what majority of the parts are. Let's see. Now, one of the more major things you can see, let's see if we can put a light on this. Let's see. Alright. This here is the governor. 3 weights. No, it's 2. No. 2. 1. Okay, major parts of the motor here include the governor, a set of weights, 4 of them, on a shaft, and this is the spindle. Yeah, these screws hold the governor pivots, left and right, there, and at the back, this here is the spring can. Now, this also here is a felt pad. The felt pad works like that. Let's see if we can move in better. Pull it, you push it to the right, it slows down the machine. You pull it to the left, it speeds it up. Now, I will show you how to get the bed plate off and effectively on what to do when you need to clean these parts and re-grease them and put graphite powder on them, and what to do and what not to do. So let's get to the bed plate. I will get you a up front look like this. So let's see if we can look. So we got this is the bed plate right here. So what we have are 4 screws. This depression, and unknown thing to all of you, is where the spindle extends and there is a ball bearing that sits there. And you have to be very mindful of it. So, in order to get this loose, you have to get the screws open. Put them aside somewhere close by. You need them for later. That is 1. Two. Number 3. And they'll get to number 4. However, many, as I mentioned earlier, Garrett motors are one of the more common motors you find. Drat. That does happen. Anyway, the motors there can also have parts replaced, such as if you break a spring or the spring is broken. In most cases, it will be repairable or replaceable. There we go, that's done. Now, I have to be very careful in my removal. So this is the plate at the bottom. As we see, lots of grease left over, and I'm a bit cheap, so I will reuse some of it. However, I'll show you a few other things. Let's see. That right there on top of the spindle is the ball bearing, a vital little bit that makes it properly work. If you lose that, you're buggered. So, in order to take apart or take off many of the gears, you take off this one right here, you place that aside, make sure he doesn't roll, then you pull up and you get this off. This here is a form of spring can where the way to get it open is that you have to get a hammer and a screwdriver and push up onto it and hammer it upwards. And then to close it, you have to push down on it. Now, we can place that aside as well. These here are just some things that held it up earlier, as we know. To get the spindle out, you just, let's see, pull. I don't think there's a way to do it, but it's not necessary at the moment. If you are doing so, the way to do it is